Hello, Saga.
Yes. Can I hear? Hey, hello everyone. Good morning, and welcome to this webinar from TTA on AIX interview questions and answers. And this is going to be a session to help you with the do's and don'ts, from a very important person. He has been a senior Unix interview panelist. He has been interviewing people for over 5 to 6 years now, and he has around 11 years of experience in this area. So I would like to welcome you all at this outset. And as we are doing
Saga, actually your voice is a bit breaking. Hello? Yeah, it's still breaking.
first place. If you look at the history, not just in the history, hello?
Saga, sorry, actually your voice is still breaking. Let me try doing that. But, guys, I hope you can hear me. I'm just unmuting all. Yeah. Okay. Guys, can you hear me? Just put on chat that if you can hear me. Yeah. It's loud and clear. Perfect. I get update. Yeah. Perfect. Sriram, Naveen, Bharat, Ravi, fine. Saga, I hope there is some issue at your network. Yeah, I think I can handle it. Yeah. So guys, just to start with, yeah, I'll introduce myself. I am Ram. I'll just go to the slide. Yeah, I'm Ram, and I have 11 years of experience in IBM AIX administration. Currently working with an MNC, and I'm a senior Unix engineer, and I have 7 people working with me and managing some 3 accounts, which has mostly a huge chunk of AIX servers and quite a bit of Linux and Solaris. So it's more of a multi-platform skills. and I am part of the tech panel. I involve on hiring the laterals where for last 4 years I am on the interview panel and taking interviews. Currently, there is a very huge opening for IBM AIX, and we are looking for some skilled resources, and we were finding a bit trouble finding the IBM AIX guys. So this training is going to help you with on those areas. TTA has asked me to take a small webinar so that the guys across can get an idea what an interviewer is looking at. Yeah. To state more on, I'm an IBM AIX certified guy. I have a certification on HSMP and virtualization as well. In addition, I have other certifications like ITIL, Solaris, Red Hat certified. So those are my professional certifications I hold. So having said that, I will just go to the next slide. There are a lot of openings for IBM AIX. You can search on the job sites. It's not only locally within India, but across the globe. There's a lot and lot of IBM AIX openings, and we find very hard to find such resources. Yeah, most people think that a basic degree will fulfill a company's requirement, but in reality, you need to have a professional course on a specific subject, especially like IBM AIX system administration or a virtualization certification or something of that sort. And also you need to get it certified from the vendor, like you say IBM provides the IBM AIX system administration certification. They give virtualization certification. They give a high availability certification. These certifications will provide an extra edge to your skills. Yeah. Why IBM AIX? Because IBM AIX is of much demand. I look for a Linux guy, or if I say there's a Unix opening, I find a lot of Linux resources with certifications. They come for the interviews, but there's only a handful of IBM AIX guys who walked on for an interview. So we find it much difficult in finding an AIX resource since the demand is huge and there's very less supply. We have to hire these guys with a very high package, and so yeah, that's the reason for an AIX guy we used to provide at least 1.25 to 1.4 times the salary of a Linux guy. And there is many open positions across the globe. As I said, there are a lot of openings we have on our locations at Dubai, United States, Australia. It's not only on my company front, but also from other companies. There are a lot of openings across the globe, and there's a very huge demand for IBM AIX. Okay, what do we look at as an interviewer? What do we look at from a candidate while hiring? Yeah, many people have some perceptions that we are looking only at the technical skill, but we look at three main stuff. The main area is on the attitude. Yeah, we put forth some questions to really understand the person's attitude. The attitude matters in places where the person is hired for a long run. Yeah, so you need to showcase your attitude when possible. It's mainly a soft skill that we are looking at. The second area is the communication. We want people to have a good flow. We don't want to have any fake accent. Rather, if he can speak a normal English, if he can convey his message strong, loud and clear, that's the second area that we look at throughout the interview. And the third area is actually the skills that the person possesses. If you say I know IBM AIX or I know Linux, will not suffice. We are looking at two areas. One is on the professional certifications. A vendor certifies you based on an exam saying that this guy is certified to work on Linux or certified to work on AIX. And second area is the real-time hands-on experience. Those days are gone where we ask questions like what is this, what is that. Rather now it's more of a real-time questionnaires. Okay. Now it's going to be this session is more of a free demo for you. That's what TTA has informed me. And here I'm going to give you a few sure shot questions that's going to happen on your initial few rounds. Those are called the icebreaker sessions that used to happen on a telephonic or on a face-to-face interview as well. And we do not pay much attention to these areas. Correct? So I'm going to this slide, next slide, to explain one of the sure shot question where you are not paid much attention, but you will find that that's the area where you can actually clinch the job from the interview. Yeah, here it is. Tell me about yourself. This tell me about yourself is the area where we do not pay attention. And even in those days, interviewers at the beginning of an interview, they raise this question and start scanning at your resume, or might be thinking of what questions to be asked. Yeah, and what we used to say during this session is like more of our personal things, like who your parents are, who your how many siblings you have, what they do, and what you did in your college and other stuff. But in reality, this is the area where actually you can take or grab the attention of the interviewer and make him give him a confidence that, hey, you are the right guy or the right fit for this job description. Yeah. So there are many points, but I have just highlighted four key points that you need to mention during that session. Yeah. And tell me about yourself should be roughly around 3 to 5 minutes, and you need to have these areas in that. The point number one is mainly on the experience in the relevant area of the job description. So it's more like if they ask you about, tell me about yourself, you always introduce yourself saying that you are Ram, and you say that I'm currently working as an senior AIX system administrator, or I'm working as an AIX system administrator. Stating the designation itself will create a kind of interest, saying that, hey, okay, this is the guy whom am I looking to. And also say the relevant areas, like you're working on the clusters, or you're working on the network installation or virtualization. Speak on the JD. That's what you need to start up with, and then you need to slowly move on to the professional certifications. That's more of the degree that people look in your profile. So you need to state that I am certified on this, certified on that. That makes the interviewer believe you are the right kind of candidate I'm looking for. The reason for stating the professional certification is every company gets order from its client based on who is going to support that environment. Yeah, if the guy who is going to support the environment is from a professional background, is having a lot of certifications, then the charge per hour is more than a person with no certifications. Yeah, so when you come up with a certification, a company is getting some additional values like an already trained and certified guy, so that cost they can add it to your salary and pay off. So that will be a good CTC if you are having a good professional certifications. Third would be the companies you worked and the technological areas, and primarily you have to use that in the descending order. The reason is like any interviewer would like to know who you are now rather than who you were in the past. Yeah. So you do not start your tell me about yourself from your college and then your first company, second company, third company kind of. Rather you go in the descending order, and I prefer you don't go beyond the current company and the previous company. You need to say a lot on your current profile. Yeah, so that's what the point 4 is. You need to say your nature of work, day-to-day activities, and it's worth that you remove the basic activities like user management and file systems and other stuff. Rather, you get into the depth core area where the JD is focusing on. You need to speak primarily on, for example, the Power HA, or you speak on the virtualization, dual VIO setup. Those are the areas will actually give the interviewer an interest, because once you come into my team, they always relate like, okay, if I take this guy XYZ he can be put on a cluster job, he can be put on a virtualization job, he already has that skill. So that's what this tell me about yourself is going to give me an idea. Yeah, this is the right guy I'm looking for. There's a point 5 which I have not mentioned, but I've seen that the point 5 which is missing here is actually a job snatcher. The point 5 is something like an interviewer learns a lot of technology through interviews. It's not in trainings. Yeah? An interviewer will ask a question, and the interviewer will respond with some sequence of steps or some concepts where an interviewer actually learns. So if he wants to continue this communication, then you have to put some new technologies which is of his interest. Especially if you say an IBM AIX administrator. There are a lot of new technologies in IBM AIX, for example, the active memory management, for an instance. When you speak about active memory management as a real-time scenario that you have worked recently and what issue you faced and how you rectified it, at the end of the tell me about yourself, you are putting a question on the interviewer's mouth, probably the second question or third question would be on, okay, tell me about that incident, or tell me about what is that concept all about. Yeah. So in the first question, you can always put or put another question on the interviewer's mouth where you are very much well versed and confident in. Yeah. So a tell me about yourself should be a very good brief gist, and you are trying to expose that you are the right fit or right match for the job description that's been put in. Yeah. And there may be a question like at the end of the session or during the tell me about yourself, what would you like to see yourself after 4 years or 5 years? Please do not use any words like I would like to be a team lead or a manager kind of. Yeah, an interviewer is just checking the attitude, where he is trying to see whether your interest is again on the technology, where you want to grow your skills on technology, go to the next level kind of, rather than snatching his job as a lead or a manager. Okay, so be very much professional, and also make sure that you are trying to grab the attention of the interviewer on every line that you state. Yeah, these feedback that I'm put up on this slides are based on my experience with good candidates whom I have interviewed so far. Yeah, and those candidates have been hired for these reasons. So make a point. At least these 4 points are mandatory. If you can really speak on point number 5, you will definitely win the job on the tell me about yourself itself. So this is a sure shot question, and you will find this question being asked on every interviews. So having said that, I move on to the next slide. Okay. So this is about very frequently asked questions. They want to really check whether you have worked on some high priority issues. In the AIX world, the high priority issues are given only to a person who is well versed, well experienced. Yeah. So that's the reason they ask you, okay, have you worked on any high priority issue which you have solved recently, which you are proud of? These are the words that an interviewer will put forth to see whether you have done so. So there are 2 things that you need to look at. One is choose the comfort zone, like the area where you are very much comfortable with. For example, you might be comfortable with NIM, or you might be comfortable with software installation management rather than a VIO or something else. Then that's the area you need to speak on, because this is the second question or probably the third question, where you can again showcase your skill, because the question is not asked upfront. You can ask yourself a question and you can answer it. Something like, where is your comfort zone, and speak on that. My preference would be speak on the key skills in the JD itself. Like you know that JD beforehand, they would have stated that this guy should have an HACMP exposure or VAO exposure. Then be prepared with this question. Yeah. So you have a write-up and you plan it out and have some mock sessions, or you practice it for this question, because this is being asked in most of the interviews these days. Okay, so be prepared with that high priority issue. Probably nowadays people use the Power HA as one of the key skill area. Yeah, so where you can say that okay, an Ethernet adapter failure on a cluster environment, and that cluster environment is hosting a high priority production, and we worked for last 2 days or 3 days to get that fixed. And you can always say that if you're not very much sure, or like there might be some follow-up questions like, okay, what did you do, who did that, kind of. If you are not much clear and you are less than 3 years or 5-year experience guy, and you don't have exposure, the safer side would be to say it's a group effort. Yeah, like we have multiple teams. The database team pitched in, application team pitched in, and from Unix there were 2 guys, myself and some XYZ. We both worked and we finally fixed that. So that's a safest landing point, yeah, rather than saying I don't know. Yeah, you can say that the entire team worked together. A few fixes were done on the database, few fixes were done on the application, few done on the Unix side. We replaced the hardware, the Ethernet card, whatever you want to say, but it should be a very prepared one. Should not be something that you state which is totally wrong technically. Yeah, so expect this question from the interviewer and be ready with it. So this is the second frequently asked question. Okay, and I've seen many interviews. The people primarily pitch in on the file sets. Yeah, and what we primarily look at is whether some of the basic commands this guy is aware of, like the LPP check commands or inst fix command, OS level command. Primarily we also see that whether you know fix central. Yeah, whether you go to fix central, download the TLs and SPs, do you look at the reports put on the across each TLs and SPs, and how you check on the file set levels, how you upgrade it. Yeah, how do you upgrade a TL? So these are the frequently asked questions on the software installation and maintenance part. Be prepared with any kind of questions on software installation, and this is one of the ongoing activity primarily from the ITIL's change management practice. So clubbing change management it will add value to this area, because it will give you a time to think on before you answer technically. You can always start with, okay, if there is a case of like software upgrade or TL upgrade or SP upgrade, you can always start with saying a change, saying that I'm going to raise a change ticket. Yeah, and then we do a test QA, and then perform some kind of backups, and then you have sufficient time to speak on the technical. Yeah, speak on process, that will add another edge to your answer, and you get more points to it. Yeah, so club process wherever possible. Why I say process is like many times I've seen people failing on interview. A classic example would be people asking, okay, how will you shut down the server? This is not a recent question. This is in the last 3-4 years back. People used to ask this question, and people used to respond shutdown -fr, and people are very much keen in speaking up the answer which are more technically right. Yeah. Having said that, it has two demerits. Like shutdown -fr is technically right, but it is process-wise wrong. The reason is the server is hosting some high priority application, and you shut it down with this command. The impact on the environment is huge. Many people get affected because of this shutdown, and the company has to pay penalty and a lot of other issues. Yeah, that's one area. The second point is like if a question is fired at you, and like a rapid fire, you say shutdown -fr. So in 1 hour of interview, you will expect roughly over 50 questions, and how many of them you can answer it right? Correct. So what we need to do is we need to add some process to it. Yeah, like you need to really understand who is asking for a shutdown and why. Like people might think that's a Windows server, and they might ask for a power cycle. And that's not the case for an AIX server. AIX server is very much robust, and it works for 10 years, 15 years non-stop, and we can restart services independently. Then why we should have a power down? Yeah, so think on that's the first area to think about. And if it really validates that a power cycle is required, then you say that you are going to raise a change ticket, and you need to inform the stakeholders. Once that is done, then you enter into the cab and get the cab team involved, and you do those cab related activity like performing test, backout plan, so on and so forth. So keep stating all this, saying about the backup. I'm going to take backup because a server, once it's rebooted after 10 years, only God knows how the system is going to come back in normal state. So taking backup, being on the safer side, these are the areas that you need to highlight on. Yeah, and then once the shutdown is done, you should not stop it right away there. You should say that once it is powered up, you check all the services are up and running, and again finally you need to close with by saying that all the stakeholders will be informed that the server is back up running, and you have to close the change ticket. So that's a very formal process where you can speak for 5 to 10 minutes on a question, impressing the interviewer on the process, impressing the interviewer on the technology, and your risk appetite, like where you're saying you're not going to take any risk on the customer or for the company. Yeah, so that's where the process actually wins the interview. Yeah, so you should always club the process along with all the questions that you speak on. So especially ITIL processes, speak on the terminologies used in ITIL, especially like the change ticket, cab, approvals, rejections, whatever you say, and post-implementation review, so on and so forth, will actually help you do that. Yeah. So on the file set case, you can also raise this points, and also put some of the key commands like LPP check. What we look for the inst fix command to check whether the is there any file sets are broken, or is there any file set missing on an ML or TL or SP. Yeah, and also how you check on the OS level command to see what's been broken and where the current file sets are. Yeah, so that's number 3 question. Yeah, there are many guys who are trained, and most of the time we find fake experiences. So how we identify fake experiences? We might ask some real-time questions like, okay, you work on an environment or on a data center or on a server room. Tell me what model of hardware you have. We might ask you, okay, what is your HMC version? Or what is the AIX TLs and SP? Probably we ask you what is the current TL and SP to check whether you are up to date with Fix Central. Yeah, you are keeping in pace with IBM. And also we might ask you, why are you using this old TLs and SPs? You should have a justifiable answer saying that Oracle supports only this, or this particular XYZ application supports only this. So knowing the version number is very, very, very important throughout the interview, and wherever possible, at least the version and release number, the first 2 digits of an HMC like 7.4 or 7.7 kind of, you need to say, like VAO 2.2. That's what we primarily look at. We don't dig much into the minor releases, but at least the version number and the release number you should be very much confident on. Yeah. So some of the version numbers that you should make a note of before attending an interview is what's your HMC version, what is your VAO version, what is the AIX TL and SP level that you have on your environment, and what is latest with IBM, and what is the HACMP's version. Okay. And one prime thing on the HACMP is, like, whenever you speak on HACMP's version, there is a difference in the SMITI command, like one is SMITI sysmirror, one is SMITI HACMP. Though HACMP works with PowerHA, the sysmirror as well, but it's better to have this handy, yeah, whenever you speak on the version number. Okay, and there's some possible areas, like as I said, the interviewer's area of interest. Yeah, speaking on active memory expansion or virtual media library, the NPIVs and shared Ethernet adapters failover or load balancing, Linga creation. I think you need to speak on these areas. Yeah, so which will really help you win an interview. I've seen many guys have won the interview because of active memory expansion. Guys, give me a minute's time. Yeah, I'll just have a glass of water. Meantime, I'll come back and get you some questions from you before I go to the next one. Thank you guys, and I'm looking at the chat to see if you guys have anything to add. Okay, is there any questions? I see some hands being raised. Let me see who's that. Attendees, Rajveer. Rajveer, I have unmuted you. Please unmute from your end, and you can shoot a question to me. Yeah, I made you unmute, Rajveer. Is there a question from you? You have to unmute from your end. Okay, so there's one question like, can we get this PPT after completion of the session? Okay, yes. I'm going to send you the presentation and as well as the recording that's happening. Yeah, that will be part of the survey. Is there any other questions you can put on the questions tab? Okay. Oh yeah. That's a good question from Naveen. Yeah, the question is like, is there an industry adoption for Linux on Power? Yes, there's a lot of drive from IBM towards Power Linux. Yeah, there are guys who have experience creating LPAR and running IBM AIX. Now, if you have handy experience on Linux, start looking on Power Linux as well. And if you add that I have Power Linux exposure on an AIX interview, nothing like that. It's a value add. Yeah, and if you say industry adoption, like Linux is actually growing or with the preference of the client at the moment, and the existing hardware on Power, people want to migrate from AIX to Linux, then the option would be to reuse the hardware with Linux, where capitalize both advantage of a Linux operating system plus the risk feature of Power. Thanks, Naveen. Very good question indeed. Okay. Is there any more questions? Perfect. Okay. Now, going to the next question. Okay, I think those are the 4 questions. But anyway, since I said that's one more question, let me just put forth. Okay, one interesting question that I have seen during interviews is, okay, how will you increase a file system in IBM AIX? For instance, if they ask you, there's a data file system, and how are you going to increase the file system? And how we rate that particular candidate in L1 category or L2 category, L3 category is, if he says that, okay, CHFS -a size equal to X and the file system name, that means the guy is more of L1. He knows the command line and he executes the command line as is. Yeah, but if you want to term yourself as an L2, and again you have to just slightly modify the answer in such a way that before I increase the file system, I check whether we have sufficient physical partitions in the volume group by using lsvg command, and if I find that there are sufficient PPs, I go ahead with CHFS command. Else I will add a new hard drive. How I extend my volume group, and then how I see my PPs are free, then how I extend the file system, and I check with the commands to see whether the file system has been actually extended. So when you put forth some pre and post technical part, then you are more of an L2 category. How can you get an L3 category with this file system command? Yeah, that's going to be the takeaway of this program. Yeah. So what you can do is, like, you have to start the answer with a cluster, saying that first I will check whether this file system is part of a cluster using cl top info command. That makes the interviewer feel, hey, these guys know about the cluster as well. Okay. If it is a cluster file system, then what we have to do at the end is we have to do a sync cluster. That's the only thing that you need to do in addition. Correct? So what you have to do, if it is not in cluster, we will do this XYZ steps, like I check for the free PPs. If hard drive is not there, there is no sufficient PP, I add an H disk, extend the volume group, and then extend the file system. Once all are done, and if it is a cluster file system, I do a sync cluster by getting into SMIT HACMP or SMIT AIX mirror. That makes you an L3. So don't be panic, or don't be a hypo in giving a right answer on the when the question is being asked. So you should be smart enough, like your answers are going to take you to what level of technical expertise you have to join. So when you say the third way, you actually become an L3 guy. Yeah. So to be an L2 or an L3, the knowledge on the virtual IO server should be strong, NIM should be very much strong, and cluster is really going to help you. And if you add like WPAR, live partition mobility, these are the key things that you can actually fetch a good job on the interview. Yeah. So having said that, there are a few more questions, so let me see. Okay. Fine. So there are some updates to it. Okay, fine. Okay, guys. You have any questions? I'm trying to unmute all. Okay. You guys have any questions? You can just shoot, or just raise your hand and unmute you. Otherwise, it's creating some noise. So I'm muting you. Just raise your hand. I'll unmute you. Yeah, let's be more interactive than having just a Q&A. Yeah, is there anyone have any questions? Okay, that's one question from someone. How I can find out the two VGs? LSVG output not showing 3 only. Okay, actually this is more of a what a key FAQ questions that's been asked. Yeah, like you can check with the trainer, or you can check on the web to find these answers. The objective of this particular session is to tell you or give you an eye-opener session and say that this is how you need to respond on an interview. If you have anything on the communication, technical attitude kind of Q questions, you can do ask. Yeah, I don't want to take the technical questions from you and respond. This is how you need to answer. The upcoming demos or upcoming sessions are going to deal with each one of them. This session is going to be a short demo. We had attended 5 interview questions. Yeah, so we are going to handle the same on the upcoming demos. I'll just show you what we have. Okay. There are some paid demos since the organizer couldn't speak and there's a break. I'm just speaking on this part. I've gone through this PPT yesterday. There are some upcoming schedules on 28th November, 2nd December, 4th December, and 6th December. There are possibly 10 each interview questions on each sessions, where you are going to gain a sound knowledge on these questions. So for instance, at the end of the training, you would get 40 interview questions that would really help you in clearing an interview. Yeah, and the fees to attend all 4 webinars is for Indians. It's ₹1,000. So at the end of the training, you will get an email from the organizer stating how you have to make the payment. And for people outside India, it's $20, and the entire fee is for all the 4 sessions combined. Yeah, so you need not pay individual thousand to each, but it's a package. Okay. Okay. There's one interesting question from Sandeep, like cloud technology in AIX. How do we start? Okay. I would say that there are a few areas that you should get engaged with. I don't know, Sandeep, which company you work with. There is something like IBM used to have a virtual learner program like VLPs. Yeah, check with your company, and if you have that access, you can gain access to the IBM Smart Cloud. Yeah, where Power Linux, Power AIX, and other few open source cloud activity can be engaged with. There are many public forums for AIX Cloud. Yeah, though there were less takers at the moment for AIX on cloud, but a lot of training institutes, a lot of startups have started making use of this cloud technology. Yeah, so to start with, cloud is cloud for all the vendors. Their framework is same. Probably the terminology they use might be different. The OS images they use might be different, but sorry, but you have to learn a cloud first, and from there with AIX you don't call that as an operating system anymore in cloud. It's you need to term it as platform. Probably that would be the difference. And number two would be it's more of an automation. Yeah, so the automation and workflow which will make such a way that an engineer or a person is not involved in setting up an LPAR, pushing an instance, or doing the post-install configs. Everything would be automated. Yeah, the cloud framework supports that. So that's the cloud technology on AIX all about. So just go and visit IBM Smart Cloud, and even you can term that you worked on IBM Smart Cloud. And there are some free or test and kind of environment that IBM provides. Yeah, since I use the VLP account, I have direct access to them. Not necessarily everyone has, but check with the IBM public forums and see whether you can access it. Okay, so there's one more question from Naveen. Like, what's the programming language interview look apart from Shell? Yeah, yes. Shell programming has become a de facto programming language in Unix. If you have Perl, that's a value add. Roughly around 3 to 4 years back, but now it's more on Ruby and other area like Puppet. I hope you guys are aware of the Puppet, Chef kind of configuration managers, and kind of Razor kind of provisioning managers make use of the Ruby language, and it's very easy to learn. So you come up with the Ruby, Python, Perl kind of scripting language. It's actually a value add. Now Perl is also being considered as a de facto like shell programming. So having knowledge on Perl will actually add value. Yes. Okay, that's one question from Sridhar. I'll just read it. Sir, I'm third year student BTech IT. How can I learn these topics? This seems to be so advanced for me. I'm interested in, but I'm sorry for this question. Okay, Sridhar, actually I would tell you, like, you are being a BTech student and in the third year. We used to go for campus drives, and in campus drives you need to go through 2 main rounds, that is your aptitude and technical round, which are very much basics to you guys. You clear that and come to a face-to-face interview and sit in the interview panel and state that you are AIX trained or AIX certified. Then there's no more question for you. You are being hired. Yeah. All these freshers, campus grads, are put on L1 process. As I said before, like, you will be going through a predefined set of scripts or a command line which has been prescribed to you. Whenever there's an issue, you need to run this technical commands. But there are a lot of process in it. So if you have plans to come into an infrastructure side of things, learning ITL process will add value to it. Yeah. So these concepts looks to be very much advanced, but in reality, for the person who are working in IBM AIX for so long, they know the they know that it's very easy to work on IBM AIX. Yeah, like I would say, like there's a command called SMITI. With SMITI, you can do everything in IBM AIX. Yeah, you can set up clusters, you can install softwares, you can create users. Whatever I said all through this questionnaires, everything has a technical answer if you put SMITI prefix to it. Yeah, but interviewers would like to know the full command line and so on and so forth. But from an L1 engineer, we do not expect much. If you say SMITI man command for help, you're done. And especially a fresher, and we are coming for campus drive, trained and certified knowledge itself is sufficient for you to get through that interview. So take out the training, get a professional certification, and have some hands-on to the server. Yeah, and you're done. Yeah, just work out on your aptitude and technical part to clear those 2 rounds. Post that, we will be looking at your resume, the logos that you have to the resume. Yeah. So even freshers have been hired. We have 3 to 4 campus grads who joined last year are working on IBM AIX, so it's not a big deal. Yeah. Fine. Okay, so fine. So Titi, you got this question from one of the interview, like how to check the LPP source consistency. Yeah. Yeah, so you don't directly answer to the point. Yeah, in most of the interviews, the panelist would not give you direct answers, but if he finds that you are capable of, so what he would do is primarily he gives you some hints like, okay, what do you do for this? And if this is the result, if this is the outcome, what command will you use next? This kind of hints he might give you. That means he is showing interest. Yeah. There are many questions which you may not have answers for. Even you ask back the interviewer, he may not be able to answer it. So there's nothing wrong in going saying that, okay, I have not experienced this, but I can check here. I can see this documentation. I will see the red books. Those kind of directions also would help you in clearing through those rounds. Yeah. So we have separate training, like some of the questions asked on this, which I'm not responding because that's out of scope from this demo. Like this is more of, you need to have a proper technical training to get through this. Like how to check the LPP source consistency. You need to go through that training to get through. Yeah, like it's a part of a NIM stuff. Then we need to start off with the entire NIM from scratch, or a section of NIM. How to create a resource and manage it. Yeah, so I'm not going to respond to that kind of answers. This is only a best practice how you can win an interview. And going forward, I'm going to disclose a few of the questions asked in the interview, frequently asked ones, and how to respond to those. Okay, so going back to the one sec, next slide. Okay, so this is about the TTA's program they have. They have a foundation program, they have an expert program, and a master program. Foundation is all about basic system administration, and where you work with user management, software management, printer management, network management. So all on the client side, how you do the system configurations, troubleshootings, and other stuff. And post foundation, it is going to be an expert, and the expert level you will be gaining knowledge on the VIO virtualization, LPARs, DLPARs, networks, shared Ethernet adapters, and so on and so forth. And PowerHA, NIM are also been covered on expert. There's a master level program that's clubbed with internship, where you get an internship attached. You'll be working on the servers like real time. You'll be given access to physical HMC, physical hardware, and LPARs and NIM inside it, where you can you'll be given some tasks as of real time using a ticketing tool, and you need to own the ticket and work. So it's more of going to be a real-time exposure, like what when Sridhar asked me, how am I going to get this real-time exposure? Probably TTA might offer you that. Yeah, so there is a web link, a hyperlink given. You can just go through this talent.co.in and see their offerings. Yeah. So I think the master program would cover the ITL V3 as well. Yeah, so they gave you some process training and cloud computing training as well. So that's been highlighted. Okay, so I see some questions coming in. Let me just check what the questions are. Yeah, I hope. Fine. In which case, actually, there is a pre-poll which is supposed to happen and a survey at the end. The poll has not happened in the beginning, so I would ask you guys to go through this poll, and we'll have a survey at the end. Okay, so I'm just launching a poll and give you some sufficient time to. Okay. So this is about your overall experience. If you're a fresher still doing some courses or a job seeker, you can be on that part. If you're under 3 years to 5 years, this is all about your overall experience. Yeah, and good. There's a very equal mix match of experience. There are over 10-year experience guys in this. So I hope the feedback would be really constructive one. Yeah, they are the right ones who have attended several interviews in their life. So I hope they are going to give me a feedback that whether it's really helpful or not. So I'm going to take that. Okay, I got only 40% voted. Yeah, I'll give you a couple of seconds. Good. Please vote. Actually, that would give us a right figure in terms of whether this training has gone on the right path. Yeah. So being very conscious on time, we are left with 5 more minutes. So I'll just close the poll ASAP. Okay, so it's almost 60% voted. So we'll, okay, still people are voting, so I'll give them some time. Okay, so I'm closing that poll and going to the next one. So this is about relevant experience in Unix. So the previous one was total. Now this is going to be relevancy because people used to work with Windows or hardware or networking in the beginning, and over a period of time they switched to Unix. The requirement is based on there are some openings for Unix where they look for relevancy in that skill. Perfect. Whenever the voting goes beyond 50 and there's no response for some time, I'll close that and start off with the next poll. Perfect. Still, that's a very huge count on over 10 or under 5 to 10 years range. Good one. I especially thank those guys who are in the 5 years to 10 years range to spend their quality time in this webinar. Yeah, I really appreciate. Okay, so closing this poll and moving on with the next. Okay, so this is on your specific uh, skills, like you might be with AIX, Linux, Solaris, multiple platforms, then it's a multiple choice. Yeah, because people used to have multi-platform skill sets, so you can choose more than one. A lot of AIX Linux guys. Yeah, I think I'm SPTT is going to get a good bunch of resources post this training for placements. Okay. So those people who do not have exposure to this need not click on any. Yeah, and Windows doesn't mean Windows XP or 7. It's on Windows Server. So that's been specifically mentioned. Okay, so I'm just closing this and moving on to the next. Just self-rating. You rate yourself on where you stand. You guys know about your skills. Yeah, so be very much genuine on where you have that skill. A good count on trained knowledge. Perfect. Oh, good. L3 exposure as well. Perfect. Perfect. Good. Um, Actually, there are a lot of L2 experience, and quite next is the L3 exposure. It's really good. Actually, these are the guys might be getting an immediate placement opportunity. Yeah, there are a lot of openings in December. The trained guys have to concentrate a bit on having hands-on exposure and a bit on the certification part. Perfect. Closing this and moving on to the next. Yeah, I know the result for this would be most on the yes side of things, but there might be people who might not be looking for a change, but just for knowledge sake. So, yeah, even if there are a few no's. Agreed. So people would get some kind of email response from a TTA. They might have a survey or kind of request asking for looking for a job change and your resume. Please go ahead and speak with the contacts. Okay, perfect. So I'm closing this. There are two more in the queue. So just okay. How do you come to know about this webinar? Via Facebook or via email or some friends referred it? Perfect. So referrals, emails, Facebook. Oh, Facebook have very huge count. Good. Perfect. So 77 voted. So going on to the next, the last question. Okay. Do you know TTA before? If yes, you can put no. You can go through the URL talent.co.in and know about them. Oh, lot many people don't know them. Okay, but few people know us. Perfect. So giving value on time, and we are just overshooted by a minute. I close this, and there will be an exit survey which might reach you once I close this webinar. Do provide your genuine feedback, and you will get a survey poll via email as well. So I hope the session was really interesting, and I'll look back on the next webinar session. So thank you guys. Thanks for your time, and see you next time.